Chapter 7, 7-1. This question is fairly simple. Make sure to have out your list of vocabulary. Each answer can only be used once. They all match with one of these definitions. 7-2. Again, this is fairly easy. I've given you just a list of 3 things. Look to see if there's an article here. Al means we're going to be looking for the masculine singular. And if you look at the list, there's only one there that is masculine singular, so you know which one to select. 7-3, or 7-12 rather. Here, a little more complicated, but we're going to start by looking for articles. So we have una, right? So we're going to look here, what is feminine singular? We have tarjeta, we have moneda. So we're going to figure if tarjeta or moneda works there. 7-2, we have uno, so we're looking for masculine plural. What up here is masculine plural? There's only one selection. That'll help you work through it. The same thing down here. Once you eliminate options, you can start working towards the options that are left. 7-3. Referring to the picture, decide where these people are using copying word for word exactly these words in the dialog box. Please look at 193 for complete of what they mean, the definitions of what they mean. 7-5 is a little more complicated, so I'm going to run through one of these with you. Flor y Miguel hablan del cumpleaños de Ana, que es mañana. Van a preparar una torta para... So we know it's Anna's birthday. Flor and Miguel are talking. They're going to prepare a cake for her. So para ella. I'm going to give you guys this. The first blank is going to be ella. So the key in this question is to figure out who are they talking about? It's 2 people having a conversation. Who are they talking about? And go on up and use the options up here. One of the tricks here is whenever we have con, in the box, if the con is going to be me, that combines in Spanish to make contigo, and conti combines to make contigo. 7-6. This is testing your knowledge of demonstrative adjectives. So I'll run through the first one with you. La Estatua de Libertad es blank allá lejos. So we're going to pay attention to the location, which is allá lejos. So which one? So allá has to be lejos. It has to be a form of aquel, right? So this is where we're going to start. It's going to be a form of aquel. But then we know we have to make it agree masculine and feminine, plural, singular. So find out what we're talking about. We're talking about La Estatua de Libertad. Use the reference in your book. And you can also, I don't have the page number there, but you can also click up here for a quick review. We know La Estatua de Libertad is feminine, it's singular, so it's going to be aquella. Aquella will be your answer, going right there. In number 2, let's first look for the location. We know it's de aquí, no? Which should be right up here, which I don't have there, but I just fixed that. So we know it's un poco lejos, so we're going to be using the forms of ese, esa, esos, etc. But what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about edificio. We know that's our noun. We're looking for the noun. So it's going to be a form of these. So it would be ese, esa. So we have to decide, is it masculine or feminine? Well, edificio is masculine. Is it singular or plural? It's singular. Therefore, it's going to be ese. 7-11. This question always causes some problems. So what we're doing is we're combining something with A with something from column B, and we're writing it in the boxes below. So we're going to start with number 1, ir. And ir, we're going to write about our experience, and I've specifically spelled out to use the yo of the pretérito. So we already know it's going to be fui, right? So fui, what makes sense from column B? Fui de mi familia, I left my family, well, maybe. Probably fui a la oficina de correos. A la oficina de correos. Well, I already have that there. Let's try number 2. Escribir la dirección. So we have to use the yo form. So we're going to have escribí la dirección. Where will we write the address of something? Probably en el sobre. En el sobre. And we write that in space number 2, and eventually we're going to be eliminating options and you'll have very few left. Remember to use the yo form. You're conjugating in the yo for column A. Good. Number 2, 7-8. So here, tus amigos Sara and Claudia, so we're all traveling through Chile. And now Sarah is, I'm talking to Sarah about the trip, right? So first over here, hizo muchas preguntas al guía del museo. Who is this referring to? Well, if I'm talking to Sarah and I'm involved in the conversation, she's probably not going to use the third person singular. So it's probably going to be él. She's talking about Claudia, right? And in this column, we're going to decide if she's saying something happened yesterday, if it's habitual in the present tense, or if it's habitual or yesterday, ambiguo. A hint for this one, habitual or habitual o ayer, will probably only be the nosotros form, because remember, with nosotros is conjugated the same in the present tense and the preterite tense, right? Otherwise, it's pretty easy to tell which tense it is. Moving down to 7-9. This one's a little complicated as well, but just take it one by one. Jorge no oyó bien el mesero y el mesero. So Jorge didn't hear the waiter well, and the waiter, what did the waiter have to do because Jorge didn't hear him very well? He probably had to repetir, no? So we're going to conjugate that, and repetir is one of those stem changing verbs in the preterite tense. So it's going to be repitió. So Jorge, el especial del día. ¿Qué tiene sentido ahí? Probably pedir. He asked for the special of the day. So we're going to conjugate that is pidió, and etc., etc. So just take it one step at a time. 7-14. In this question, you're looking for the indirect object, but you're only using me, te, or nos. So I'm going to write these over here before we start. Me, te, nos. So let's figure out the first two. Remember, this is a conversation between you and your friend. Your friend says, yo siempre presto mi coche para ir al supermercado. So would your friend lend himself the car? Probably not. Would he lend us the car? Talking about your friend and yourself? Probably not. So our only option is te. I always lend you the car. So tú respondes, sí, pero yo siempre, blank, compro muchas cosas cuando voy al supermercado. I always buy us a lot of things. Maybe I always buy myself a lot of things. Well, that's not very polite of him. Or I always buy you a lot of things. So the second blank is going to be te as well, right? So think of these logically. It's a conversation between you and your friend. And you only have 3 options. 7-15 is a written question, which I'll grade manually. So here you're going to follow the model, right? So for example, prestar. So that means to lend. So a mi amiga. So we'll start with that. Siempre, always. So this is who you're lending to. Siempre, and this is mi amiga, so that's going to be le or les. That's going to be le because it's singular. Le presto, I lend her dinero. No, a mi amiga siempre le presto dinero. And keep following the example and write those, and I'll grade this manually. 7-16. A little more complicated. So we have all of the pronouns here. Me, te, le, nos, and les. So we're going to look at the first sentence, and we're going to try to find the direct object. And we know that the direct object is usually indicated by a, por, or para, right? So where's our a, por, or para in the first sentence? Well, we have it right here. A mi primo favorito. This is singular, and this is in the third person. It's not me, it's not te, it's not os. So it's got to be les or les, and it's singular, so it's got to be le. So that's going to be in our first blank, le. Fui a la oficina de mi profesor y explicó los errores de mi examen, no? So do we have an a, por, or para here? Not quite, not quite. We do have an a, but it's not quite that. So I explained to who, no, sorry, the professor explained to who the errors on the exam. He explained to me. Y me explicó, right? So we keep going like that. Think of these logically. Think of these logically, and you'll have your answer.